This man makes a valid point. When you listen to him, he is very genuine, and he speaks up, because a lot of people are thinking like this, but are so scared of political correctness that they're not saying anything about it. It is about time the British people and European people started to chuck aside these political correctness rules, which started off with the gollywog. Oh gosh, I've said that word, terrible. Which in actual fact probably did more to help understanding of black children and white children, because white children love gollywogs, and it put it together. But somehow that became a PC word, political correctness. Now, of course, we've got this terrible situation which is developing, where we in actual fact, recently, for instance, there was a book going to be published by, I think it was Oxford University Press, and because of pressure by Muslims, that was disallowed. Now, this is the beginning of the end of our freedoms. This is something that we've got to see and tell our political masters that this is not correct, and we're not prepared to put any more of this up with it. There's a man called Dr. Twalik Harid, and he recently was, part of the terrorist organizations, and he said, that there isn't a university that isn't teaching the extreme form of Islam, and in the mosques as well. I mean, women who, in actual fact, are today reporters and journalists who were living in the Middle East, fled from the Middle East because of this hate campaign from the mosques, and now, of course, we end up with, she said, it's followed us into the West, and the government's doing nothing about it. This is unacceptable. There are not. These people really are sojourners in our land. They're not here forever, and whilst the goodwill of the British people and the Holland people and the Dutch people, and the Belgian people and the European people allow them to be there, they'll be there. But these things can change very quickly, and I fear they are changing. And I would suggest that this situation will not be continue. Whilst we've had these, we would call them men of goodwill, and who have gone so far to appease the Islamists, where anybody who speaks up is accused of being racist. Now, since when was Islam a racist religion? Since when was Catholicism a racist religion? Because it's supposed to be all-inclusive, but now it's racialism. That is absolute nonsense, and I don't accept it, and I don't think anybody else should accept that. That's PC correctness, and that is absolute nonsense. It's not that we hate Muslims, but we hate what they do. We hate the murder and the head cutting off, and to me that is completely unacceptable. And I'm going to read something here that a woman wrote, and I think it explains a whole lot of feelings that we all have at the present moment. And this packs a firm punch, and she should apply for Prime Minister. This is what this housewife said from New Brunswick in her local newspaper, and it's gone around the world. Because why did it go around the world? Because it didn't strike a chord with the Anglo-Saxon peoples that their leaders have become traitors. And she starts off by saying, "Are we fighting a war on terror, or aren't we? Was it or was it not started by Islamic people who brought it to our shores on September the 11th, 2001, and have continued to threaten to do so since?" I mean, our security services, although they keep on saying, "Oh, terrorists," it's an Islamic terrorist. It's like a German Nazi. You've got to identify them. Just saying a terrorist is not good enough any longer, as far as I'm concerned. We've got to identify who those people were. But when she said September the 11th here, she wasn't saying enough. Because remember, before that, there was at least 10 attacks on American facilities around the world, and I thought America had completely lost it. And I wondered when she was going to do something. How can a great power like America and Britain and Europe and all these great nations, and Germany and Russia as well, how can they sit and do nothing and allow this sort of thing to happen? It's about time we had leaders who turned on these people and say, "You do it once more, and we take all your family out. You taking our families out, we take your families out." Now that's not hate. That's just a reality, because that's what it's going to come to. The biblical prophecies prove it. We're going to attack some of those nations. And whether they like it or not, it's coming. And we're sliding into war right now. The Israelites, the people of Judah, can no longer sit around waiting for Iran to attack them, which Iran has kept on saying for the last 2 or 3 years now. To my long life, until recently, I've never heard Israel ever threaten to attack Iran. Never. But only in the last, since April this year, has she started to rattle her. Well, she's got to. What are you going to do? Sit there and let these people threaten you, like our governments are doing internally here? Forget about it. Now, this is what she says. Where people, that's the Twin Towers, where people from all over the world, not brutally murdered that day in downtown Manhattan, that's the Twin Towers, across the Potomac from the Capitol in the USA, that's of course at the Pentagon, and in the field in Pennsylvania. That's where the plane crashed into the ground. Didn't nearly 3,000 men, women and children die a horrible burning or crushing death, and some had to commit suicide by jumping out because the heat was so terrible on that day, or didn't they? And I'm supposed to care that a few Taliban were claiming to be tortured by justice system of the nation they come from and are fighting against in a brutal insurgency and chopping people's heads off. I'll start caring when Osama bin Laden turned himself in and repents for incinerating those people on 9/11. I'll care about the Quran when the fanatics in the Middle East start caring about the Holy Bible, the mere belief of which is a crime punishable by beheading in Afghanistan and quite a few other countries, which you can see on the net. I'll care when those thugs tell the world they are sorry for hacking off Nick Berg's head, while Berg screams through his gurgling slashed throat, blood spurting everywhere. That's when I'll care. But he wasn't the only one. There's a whole lot more. I mean, there's so many. I saw one of these things and I was really upset for a whole week. I can't watch them, but there's a lot of sites that have that on. I'll care when the cowardly so-called insurgents in Afghanistan come out and fight like men instead of disrespecting their own religion and manliness by hiding in mosques and behind women and children. I'll care when the mindless zealots who blow themselves up in search of nirvana care about the innocent children with the range of their suicide bombs. And here I refer to our bombs in London, in the tube and on the buses, etc. And they would have liked to have done a lot more, but we caught a few of them. I'll care when the Canadian, British, American and other media stops pretending that there's freedom of speech on stories is more important than the lives of soldiers on the ground or their families waiting at home to hear about when something happens. You know, in the meantime, when I hear a story about a Canadian, British, American, Australian soldier roughing up an insurgent terrorist to obscene information, know this, I don't care. When I see a wounded terrorist get shot in the head when he is told not to move because he might be booby-trapped, you can take it to the bank. I don't care. When I hear a prisoner who has issued a Quran and a prayer mat and fed special food that is paid for by my tax dollars is complaining about that his holy book is being mishandled, you can absolutely believe in your heart of hearts, I don't care. It's only a piece of paper. And oh, by the way, I've noticed that sometimes it's spelled Quran, K-O-R-N, and other times Quran, Q-U-R-N. Well, Jimmy Crack Corn, you guessed it, I don't care. If you agree with these four viewpoints, pass this on to your email friends. Sooner or later, you'll get the people responsible for this ridiculous Western behavior. If you don't agree, then by all means, hit the delete button. Should you choose the latter, then please don't complain when more atrocities are committed by radical Muslims happen in our great country. And sometimes, maybe your friends, maybe your family will be involved. Company. Remember that. That is something that can happen. And may I add, some people spend the entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference in the world. The soldiers don't have that problem. I have another quote that you might like to add, and I hope you forward all this. One last thought for the day. Only 5 defining forces have ever offered to die for you. Yeshua, the son of Yahweh, which is called Jesus Christ. The British soldier, the Canadian soldier, the US soldier, the Australian soldier. One died for your soul and the other 4 for your freedom. You might want to pass this on, as many seem to forget all of them. Amen. What a wonderful letter, what a gutsy letter as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much, and if you want to see more, go to our YahwehNews.com. Thank you very much.